Hi, I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Today we're going to look at quietening the Black Wolf from Win and Win. Now the Black Wolf is a carbon riser. It's 19, I think it's a 19-inch riser, it might be 17-inch carbon riser. No sight mountings here. It's a hunting recurve designed for bare bow. You can shoot a plunger. This is just fitted with a basic cheap rest, and these are carbon wood limbs. Now the customer returned this bow to me and said it's extremely noisy. And the email goes, my experienced archers think this bow is really noisy. There's something wrong with it. Now I shot this bow, and to me it was perfectly not fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot it in front of the camera, and I want to talk about how you quieten the bow down, because I've sent the customer an email saying how to quieten the bow, and he's ignored me through the entire process. So I'm going to do a video on it, and I'm going to show you how to quieten the bow. Now there's no knocking point on the bow. The first thing I want to say about noise is the way you make noise with a musical instrument is a string, and it makes noise. So when you shoot a bow, it's always going to make noise. Now downrange from a bow, you generally can't hear much. So sometimes if you think your bow's noisy, it's in relation to other things. So I was standing 20 meters in front of a compound the other day, and I couldn't hear a thing. I could just hear the arrows coming past me. So I think this bow's quiet. So I'm just going to shoot this bow. Now there's no knocking points on the string, so it's important to have the right arrows. Now feather arrows will be quieter. Feather arrows will shoot better. Will they be quieter? I don't know, because they might actually be a bit noisier through the air. I was going to say they're going to be quieter because I'm going to think they're not going to hit the problem is with this rest, if the arrow's not tuned, the arrow's going to hit that as it comes through, and that's going to make a little bit of noise. So but most of the noise is going to come through that string vibrating. So let's just have a shot. Now to me that's quiet. And what you're hearing, oops, sorry, I hit the stand. What you're hearing is this string. I'm just going to have one more shot with this. Now if you don't get the right spined arrows, the arrows are not going to clear this, and they are going to create a little bit more noise and vibration. These arrows I'm shooting are not the right spine. I did have my recurve arrows in the other day, which I shot with, and it was a little bit better. But to me, there's no vibration in the bow whatsoever. Like the bow's not moving in my hand, and my grip is loose. It's a target position grip, so not 45 degrees. There's no vibration there, and the bow is not moving out of my hand at all. So for me, when I sell bows on the internet, as a consumer, when you're buying on the internet and you can't try these things out and compare them, it's very hard. But for me, when I shoot this bow, I like it. It shoots the same as every... And I just whacked my arrow. Now, to me, there's no vibration in the bow. You can see the bow's got a slight upwards balance in the bow. You can put a stabilizer on. Now, the first thing, if you want to quieten this bow down, the first thing to look at is brace height, the distance from there to there. Now, what I noticed on this is you'll see how much the string is touching on this limb. Now, if you increase the brace height, so basically you're going to shorten the string and move the limb tip to that kind of angle, there's going to be less string touching the limb. Less string touching the limb means less noise. Now it's also going to slow the bow down a bit. So a shorter brace height increases the speed of the bow, a longer brace height decreases the speed of the bow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a different string for this bow. And then I'm going to come back with a shorter string, and I'm going to make Dacron. This is a fast flight string. In my understanding is a Dacron string is going to be a little bit quieter. Now the reason for that is a fast flight string has got virtually no give. So when you shoot it, it's a crisp sound. And without knowing and without having the customer here, I'm not sure what the issue is with this bow. So, but I'm going to make a Dacron string for this bow now. And then we're going to add stuff to the bow. So this is going to be a couple of step process for me. But 3 arrows touching. But to me, I'm probably going to get, that's the noise he's probably complaining about, and that would be cleared up with a shorter string and cat whiskers, and that's all you need. But I'm going to go through I'm going to put on everything on this bow to completely deaden this bow. So let me make a Dacron string and let's see the difference between Dacron and fast flight. I'm also going to make the string slightly shorter than this, and this limb tip is not at this angle. Now with a recurve and even a target recurve like I shoot, the noise that you feel in the vibration, brace height will affect it. I found it has no impact on my accuracy at all. It does affect the tune slightly. So of the arrow, whether it's faster or slower, so whether a bear shaft shoots left or right, but it's still minor. So when people go, oh, is it 7.5 inch brace or 7 3/4? Like, I'm going to shorten this down quite a bit. And I also find with some of the Win and Win Black Wolves, the strings are slightly too long. So it's not a thing that is abnormal for me. It's a thing that is common. Now the brace height here is fine. It shoots fine, and like I said, by decreasing the brace height you increase the speed, so I'm sure that's why Win and Win do it. But I'm going to make a short string. I'm going to make it out of Dacron. So let me make that string and we'll get straight back here. Okay, so I've just made a Dacron string for this bow. Now I made the bow the string a bit shorter, but you can still see it's laying on the limb. So I'd like this limb tip to be shorter, so I'm going to twist this up. But first off, I'm going to shoot this bow to see if it's any quieter with Dacron compared to fast flight. Now Dacron is going to slow the bow down. Now also noise, bear in mind the arrows you shoot are going to affect the noise. If the arrow is heavier, it's going to be quieter. If it's lighter, it's going to be noisier. So now with the string knock, you want it coming off with a nice little click. And even with that, you can hear noise. So there's always going to be noise, but it's the degree. So let's just have a shot. I reckon it's even noisier with this. And I reckon there's more vibration with the Dacron. Definitely feel more vibration. Now, the reason for that, this string is going to be, I've made it more strands on this string, but I reckon maybe it's quieter. So my next step is going to be to twist this string up. I know, I reckon maybe it's quieter, I don't know, you can check on the sound. Have another shot. I think there's more vibration because the string has more mass than the fast flight string. That's a different noise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put knocking points on this, so I've got a reference. And I'm going to twist up the string as a first step. We're going to fit the limb dampeners, limb savers, and silencers. Now the silencers, in my opinion, are going to have the biggest impact of the whole lot, because I've done all this before, but I want to do it on video because that way you can kind of see what I'm doing. So let's shorten the brace height down, and let's sort of see where we're going. Okay, so I've gone from an 8-inch brace height to a 9-inch, and that's the distance from there to the string. So now it's 9 inches. Now, I don't make minor adjustments because I figure if you prefer the 9 versus the 8, that's up to you. And then you can say whether you prefer 8.5 versus 8. Now this is going to reduce, and now the string tip angle, you can see it's still pointing in a little bit, but not as much as it was, and that's a whole 1 inch of adjustment in brace height. So let's see what this shoots. Now I've put knocking points on now. Let's see how this shoots. I reckon noisier. It was like a crack. Okay, so the first one, because I just strung this thing, it's quieter now on the second shot. That first one's a bit scary. So sometimes when you got to bed the string in, there's less noise now. It's still minor, like so. Now what we're going to do, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to put the limb dampeners on. So let's see the impact of that. Okay, so these are limb dampeners that go onto the limb just up here where the string touches the limb. Now the concept of this is you're getting rid of some of the slap, so when this string comes down and hits this limb, it gets rid of some of that. Now, do I expect this to have a big impact? The answer is no. The things that I expect to have a big impact, and I know I have a big impact, are string silencers, because it gets rid of that noise. This gets rid of some of the little bit of slap. So with everything, and it's a common question with customers when they walk into my store, is it worth getting limb savers on my bow? Now a limb saver costs, let's say, $27. Your bow's worth $1,000. This bow's worth $1,000. Is it worth fitting a $20 limb saver to it? My thing is the bow's pretty quiet already. So if you stood beside, when I say beside this bow, if you stood down range 20 meters and try and listen, you'd hear probably very little. So the way these go, you can see there's a little cup. So that goes that way. So I'm going to fit that up that way. So it's just simple to fit. Just this two-sided 3M tape. And I've actually never fitted one, so bear that in mind. So it's just two-sided tape, and I'm just going to fit this. I'm going to lift the string up. So I'm fitting it just like that. Now you could be down further. I'm basically exaggerating the thing. Now I'm going to do the same down the bottom. So two-sided tape. These cost, let's say, $15. I'm going to get the number wrong. I'm just guessing from the top of my head. They come in all different colours. Why did I pick blue? Probably because that's all I had. I don't know. They were just there. The string's blue. Right. So you can just see there. See there, I've just created a slight gap. Now you don't need to create that gap, but I'm trying to see what impact this has. Now, I'm going back to my days when I was young. And I used to sell aniders. Now with the niter, this is a big thing to fit these things to the bow because it got rid of some of the noise. But most of the noise on the niter, which is basically a recurve in a compound, is through that string movement, the slap of the string. But this definitely got rid of some, and I expect this to get rid of some too. So, oh wow, that's. Did you like? The vibration would be halved. So the vibration's halved, the sound's halved. It's like dead. Mind you, that one sounded noisier, so. I think it's quieter. It's getting rid of some of the twang of that string. So now the next thing I want to add to this bow is limb savers. Now I know limb savers have a big impact. Many Olympic archers fit limb savers to their recurve bow. Now it absorbs vibration, because when you shoot this bow, these limbs are moving like that. And they go, and if you see these limbs in slow motion, they go like this. Fitting limb savers to this bow reduces the amount of oscillation, so it reduces noise and vibration. So to expect a recurve and even a compound to have no vibration, no noise, these things are moving around everywhere. So what we're doing is about reducing their vibration. So I'm just going to have one more shot. So with every bit you do to a compound or a recurve has an impact, but it might be, you know, like 5%. It's not bad. Okay, so we're going to fit the limb savers now. Okay, so these are recurve limb saver dampeners. They just stick straight on the limb. Now you can fit them either side, this side or that side, and you'll see Olympians fit them both sides. Now there's different models of this. There's compounds, which are slightly bigger, and the new ones, the broadband, which wraps around. They all do the same stuff. They're a bit of rubber, which removes the oscillation. They're stuck on with the 3M tape, just there. I'm going to stick them on the back side of the limb just because. Now the questions, this stuff, the rubber, the more you fit on your bow, the less vibration you're going to get. So if you add a stabilizer, less vibration. If you add a heavier stabilizer, less vibration. But if you stuck 100 of these things on your bow, every one you add takes vibration and noise off. However, the first two you add are the greatest impact. So do I suggest fitting 10 of them? No, because it's just no point. There's a limit. So yeah, I just fit the two. But this, I remember when these things came out on bows, and I was a huge, oh, this is just marketing, these things are garbage, and I'm not even going to try them. And then I fitted them on my bow, and I was like, oh wow, they're amazing. Now some of my bows I don't fit them to today because I'm not that worried about the vibration, but I would say most of my bows do have them fitted. But it's a small percentage, right? And once again, if you go, let's say these are $25, the bow's a $1,000 bow, you know, but I haven't fitted them to my target bow. Now my target recurve is $2,000, and I haven't fitted these things. And I do think about it. The reason I haven't fitted them is because I think there's more variation in me than the bow, so I'm blaming myself rather than the bow. Okay, so I've just stuck those on there and there, and now I'm just going to grab the arrows. 1 sec. Okay, so I've just fitted these, got the arrows back. Once again, these arrows are not the ideal arrows for this bow. I expect this to have a big impact, bigger impact as that. Maybe bigger. So let's have a look. Now, do I notice the difference in sound? Given the brace height, the string, the limb dampeners, it's quieter, but it's not that much quieter. And you can check the sound on the video to see if it's louder or quieter. I asked people who are literally 3 meters that direction of me if they can hear me shooting while I'm on the video, and they said they can't hear the bow being shot. They said they could hear it first off, but now they can't. So I don't know if it's just because the shop's noisy. It's not that noisy. There's only one customer in the shop. So what it's reduced, it's definitely reduced some vibration down, and it's reduced some of the twang. And what you're getting rid of, yes, there's still vibration. These limbs are still whacking around and moving, the string's still moving, but it's getting rid of some of the vibration, some of the noise at certain ends of the spectrum. So okay, so now what we're going to fit, this in my opinion makes the biggest difference, the string silencers. There's all different string silencers on the market, cat's whiskers, puffs, tarantulas. What has the biggest impact? I really like puffs, which are woolen things that go on the string, but the problem with wool is you're affected by water. Tarantulas are nice, they sort of tie on, they look like a little spider. They have quite an impact, but what I'm going to fit is cat's whiskers, which are rubber silencers to the string. The reason I fit those, they're not affected by weather, they're simple, they are a little bit cheaper, like $3 or $4 cheaper, but to me it's just simple, and I didn't see a huge difference between one to the next. So this is the biggest. Now if you fit 2 sets compared to one, the first set has the biggest impact. I'm going to fit them around this sort of location around here. So, but that's where we're at the moment. Is the bow quieter? Do I notice it? I don't notice it that much. In fact, I notice it so little I have to shoot another shot just to remind myself. And I shoot recurve every day. I shoot hundreds of arrows. And yeah, it's a short. So what you're doing is you're shortening that noise down. So I've got to remind myself the difference between this and what it was like before. So I've shortened the vibration down and the noise down. So how long the vibration, how long this string vibrates for. But you can still see when I do this, it's still vibrating for a couple of seconds afterwards. And not a couple of seconds, but cat's whiskers is going to reduce that by quite a bit. So give me a second, I'll tie those on and let's see how it is. Okay, so I've just fitted cat's whiskers to the string. So these are the sort of camo ones. Now you'll see here, I'm going to pull the bow back, how little vibration you now get on the string. So the string basically is deadened. So now you're not going to get the twang of a string because these little cat's whiskers, and they're going to have the biggest impact out of everything I've fitted to the bow in noise and vibration, because it's getting rid of that string moving backwards and forwards. Nothing. Dead. So out of all the things I've fitted, everything makes a difference, but the cat's whiskers make the biggest. It's even reduced the vibration. Now if you want to take more noise out of the string and the vibration, add a stabilizer. Even if you add a limb stabilizer, it's going to make a little bit more difference. I'm just grabbing a stabilizer. So I'm just grabbing this is literally a $2 stabilizer. Well, it's a $5 stabilizer. So it's not as good as, the $100 stabilizer, not as good as the limb saver, but it's a $5 stabilizer. Makes a difference. There is no way can anyone hear me. I've got 3 customers in the shop in there now. There's no way they can hear this bow being shot. It's dead. Just dead. So when I say the major things, everything makes a difference. Now if you're hunting, this stuff is important. Even the little stabilizer here made a difference, and if you add a better stabilizer, let's say you add a $50 stabilizer, it will be better than the $5 stabilizer. The puffs are better than these. But it's all about, margins, making the bow quieter a little bit, working on it a little bit at a time. We used to fit felt up here to the limbs. That helped. Everything you add, You can get little string things up here, little rubber brush deflectors to put up here on your string. Everything does make a difference, but what it's coming out is coming at a cost. A lot of this stuff is going to slow your bow down, and if you're mainly a target shooter or a recreational shooter, I can guarantee you can't hear my recurve being shot. Actually, my neighbours say they can hear it being shot behind me, but most times it's pretty quiet. It's just bang, bang, bang. They're not noisy things. They don't wake the neighbours when you're shooting them. Bet cat's whiskers, $8, the cheapest thing. But now this bow is dead. So when I return the bow to the customer, who I'm recommending to watch this video, hopefully he'll be happy with what I've done here. But once again, with the internet, it's very hard as a customer to say, yes, I'm happy with that. Walk-in customers, I have never had a person shoot this bow and not be happy with it, ever, full stop. Now, longbows are going to be quieter than a recurve because you're going to have less string slap, they're slower. So if you're looking for the ultimate in quietness, look at something like a Predator low bow. But this is awesome because it folds down, it looks cool, and these are huge selling. I sell these bows all around the world, and I literally had no problems with any of them. The limbs have been rock solid. Win & Win is a rock solid company. There's really nothing to go wrong. There is wood in these limbs, so you do have the potential to twist them with wood as opposed to foam, but no difference in speed or velocity for wood versus foam. The only difference is in the ability to be able to twist the limb. So use a bowstringer when you twist it. Don't keep the bow in a hot environment like the back of a car, but pretty rock solid. So that to me is dead. There's nothing. So I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. I hope that's helped you in silencing your bow, whether it be a black wolf, a normal recurve, a longbow. Same principles apply to everything. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.